Admiral Kim watched the alien ship on the big screen. It looked strange with its flowing curves and metal parts that seemed impossible by Earth's standards. "When will they get to Mars?" Kim asked. Lieutenant Park checked her screen. "About 3 days, Admiral. The Defense Council is meeting now." The command center was busy with people working at their stations. Humans had fought each other for hundreds of years, but finally joined together not long ago. Now they faced something new. "Did they answer our message?" Kim asked. "Yes, sir," Park said. "They call themselves the Talon Hegemony. They want to meet with our leaders." Kim nodded. "Tell the Council. And start Protocol Sentinel. Keep it quiet." While diplomats got ready to welcome the aliens, Earth's military prepared in secret. Space weapons powered up, underwater missiles stood ready, and special fighters with advanced shields flew patrol. The Talons came toward Earth like they had done this many times before. They had conquered many worlds and expected this one to be the same. They were wrong. The first images of the aliens shocked everyone. They looked almost human but had skin that shimmered like black pearls and eyes with vertical pupils. Their ship was even more impressive up close, at least twice the size of Earth's largest vessel. "We should be careful," General Yoon said during the emergency meeting. "They crossed half the galaxy to get here. This isn't a friendly visit." President Sun nodded. "I agree, but we must try diplomacy first. We can't appear hostile." "With respect, Madam President," Admiral Kim cut in, "we should speak from strength. The Sentinel systems are ready. If they scan us, they'll see enough to make them think twice." The room fell silent. Protocol Sentinel was Earth's greatest secret, a defense system that showed fake military readings to any scanning technology. It would make Earth look much stronger than the aliens might expect. "Approved," President Sun said. "But only defensive measures. No weapons unless they move first." The aliens sent their first message to all Earth channels. "People of Earth, we are the Talon Hegemony, rulers of 500 worlds across 3 galactic arms. Your planet has been selected for integration into our empire. Prepare your leaders to discuss terms." The message was calm, like they were doing Earth a favor. 3 Talon ships entered Earth orbit, while their main vessel stayed near Mars. Earth's hidden defenses tracked them silently. "They're scanning us," Lieutenant Park reported. "Sentinel is working. They're seeing our false defense grid." Admiral Kim smiled slightly. "Good. Let them see our old technology." The Sentinel system showed the aliens exactly what Earth wanted them to see: defensive systems that looked advanced but not threatening. The real weapons remained hidden. Ambassador Lee prepared to meet the aliens at the space station. He was calm despite the pressure. "Remember," he told his team, "we represent all of humanity today." The Talon delegation was led by Commander Teso, tall and imposing with ornate armor that seemed both decorative and functional. He did not bow or extend a hand in greeting. "Your world has caught our interest," Teso said through a translator device. "We offer you protection and technology in exchange for resources and service to the hegemony." Ambassador Lee smiled politely. "We are honored by your visit, Commander. Earth would be happy to discuss trade and cultural exchange." Teso's expression hardened. "Perhaps I wasn't clear. This isn't an invitation to join. It is an opportunity to surrender peacefully before we demonstrate our power." Lee's smile didn't waver. "I understand, Commander. But Earth doesn't surrender. We would prefer friendship, but we are prepared for other outcomes." The meeting ended quickly after that. As the Talons returned to their ship, Admiral Kim received urgent news. "The main Talon vessel is moving, sir. They're heading toward Earth faster than before." "They're trying to scare us," Kim said. "Maintain Sentinel protocols. Let them make the first move." On their ship, the Talons discussed the humans. "They are either very brave or very foolish," Teso said. "Scan deeper. Find their true capabilities." Officer Neri ran the scans. "Commander, something is wrong. These readings don't make sense. Their defense systems appear basic, but there are energy signatures we can't identify. They're hiding something, Tezo decided. Send a small attack against their moonbase. Nothing serious, just enough to show our power and test their defenses. The Talons fired energy weapons at the lunar base, expecting to damage it easily. Instead, a shield appeared around the base, absorbing the attack completely. Within seconds, Earth's response came. Not with weapons, but with a message from President Sun herself. Commander Tezo, your unprovoked attack has been noted. We chose not to respond with force this time. This courtesy will not be extended again. Earth wishes peace, but we are ready for war if you insist on it. As she spoke, hidden defense platforms around Earth revealed themselves, powering up weapons that the Talons had never seen before. Impossible, Tezo whispered as readings flooded his screens. Their technology. It's beyond anything we've encountered. Officer Neri looked pale. Commander, I've analyzed their weapon systems. They use principles our science hasn't mastered. And there are more systems activating across their planet. The truth dawned on Tezo slowly. The hegemony had conquered hundreds of worlds, all developing along similar technological paths. But humans had taken a different route, driven by their constant conflicts and need to survive against each other. What the Talons had achieved through thousands of years of gradual progress, humans had raced toward in mere centuries, pushed by their wars and competition. Send a message, Tezo ordered. Tell them we wish to discuss real diplomatic relations. Admiral Kim smiled as he read the Talon message. It seems they've reconsidered their position. Lieutenant Park looked confused. That easily? They came all this way to conquer us, and now they want to talk. They've realized something important, Kim said. Throughout our history, humans have been our own worst enemies. We've spent centuries perfecting the art of war against ourselves. Now we've united, and all that terrible knowledge is focused outward. He looked at the alien ship on the screen. They came expecting easy prey and found wolves instead. Today marks a new chapter for Earth, our first day as a galactic power. Rain fell steadily on the neutral ground station in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. The massive floating platform had been built years ago for international military exercises, but today it served a more historic purpose. Humanity's first formal meeting with alien visitors. Ambassador Lee straightened his tie and looked at his team. Remember, we show strength through calm. No one speaks unless spoken to. Colonel Han nodded. He wore a simple military uniform with minimal decorations, though everyone knew he commanded Earth's orbital defense systems. The Talons respect power. Nothing more. The aliens entered the conference room exactly on time. Commander Tezo stood taller than any human, his dark skin catching the light like polished stone. 4 officers followed him, each wearing what appeared to be ceremonial armor with symbols that probably showed their rank. Ambassador Lee bowed slightly. Welcome to Earth. We are honored by your presence. Tezo did not return the gesture. He sat at the table, and his officers stood behind him. Let us not waste time with pleasantries. We have studied your world for some time from afar. The translator device on the table converted his clicks and whistles into clear words. Lee noticed that the aliens had chosen Korean rather than English or Mandarin, an interesting choice that suggested they had indeed been studying Earth carefully. Your world has much to offer the hegemony, Tezo said. Resources, labor, cultural artifacts. In exchange for your peaceful integration, we offer protection and limited autonomy. Lee kept his face calm, though his heart beat faster. This was exactly what they had feared, not visitors or explorers, but conquerors. We appreciate your offer, Commander, Lee said carefully. But Earth requires time to consider such a significant proposal. Tezo's vertical pupils narrowed. Perhaps you misunderstand. This is not a negotiation. The hegemony requires your answer now. The room grew tense. The diplomatic team exchanged glances, but Lee remained composed. Colonel Han stepped forward from his position against the wall. Since you press the matter, Perhaps a small demonstration of Earth's capabilities would inform your position. Teso tilted his head, a gesture that seemed to show curiosity. Proceed. Han nodded to a technician who activated a large screen on the wall. It showed a desert area with an old military tank sitting alone. This is a live feed from our testing grounds in Australia, Han explained. That vehicle is outdated technology by our standards. Teso watched with what might have been amusement. You wish to impress us with obsolete war machines? No, Han said simply. He touched his wrist device. I wish to demonstrate precision. On the screen, a thin beam of blue light shot down from the sky. The tank didn't explode dramatically. It simply vanished, leaving a perfect circle of glass-like material where sand had melted. The demonstration was over in less than 2 seconds. That was one of our older orbital platforms, Han stated calmly. Merely a fraction of our defensive capabilities. For the first time, uncertainty flickered across Teso's face. His officers behind him shifted their stance. An impressive light show, Teso said, but his voice lacked its previous confidence. The hegemony has conquered worlds with far greater weapons. Ambassador Li smiled politely. Perhaps, but I wonder if the hegemony has encountered a species quite like humans before. Li opened a folder and pushed several photographs across the table. They showed nuclear tests from the previous century, massive explosion clouds rising over deserts and oceans. These weapons are now considered primitive by our standards, Li explained. We developed them nearly 100 years ago and have since created far more advanced systems. Teso picked up one of the photos, studying it with his alien eyes. My species has a unique history, Commander, Li continued. Until very recently, our greatest enemies were ourselves. For thousands of years, we fought each other, constantly developing better ways to win those wars. Colonel Han added, what other species might develop over millennia of peace? Humans achieve much faster through competition and conflict. One of Teso's officers leaned down and whispered something in their clicking language. The commander's expression changed subtly. Our scans did not detect weapons of this magnitude, Teso said carefully. Of course not, Han replied. We keep our most advanced systems shielded from detection. What you've seen in your scans represents our visible defenses only. This was partly true. Protocol Sentinel deliberately showed some systems while hiding others, creating a careful balance of revealed and concealed power. Li watched Teso process this information. The alien commander was clearly reassessing the situation. What had begun as a simple conquest was becoming more complicated. To be perfectly clear, Li said, Earth has no hostile intentions toward the Talon hegemony. We would welcome peaceful relations, cultural exchange, and fair trade. But we will not be conquered or subjugated. Teso stood suddenly, towering over the humans. I must consult with our high command. This meeting is adjourned for now. As the aliens left the room, Colonel Han moved beside Ambassador Li. That went well, Han said quietly. Did it? Li asked. They still have a fleet that could attack at any moment. Han smiled slightly. But now they're uncertain. And in my experience, uncertain enemies rarely attack immediately. Back on their ship, the Talons held an emergency meeting. Commander Teso replayed the demonstration of Earth's orbital weapon. Their technology is more advanced than our initial scans suggested, he told his officers. The weapon they demonstrated shows precision we've only seen in the most advanced hegemony systems. Officer Nari, their science specialist, looked troubled. Commander, I've analyzed their historical records since our arrival. These humans have spent most of their history fighting themselves. Their technological development has been driven almost entirely by warfare. That can't be right, another officer argued. No species survives such prolonged internal conflict. This one did, Neri replied. And it made them strong in ways we didn't anticipate. Teso made his decision. We will not retreat. The hegemony does not show weakness. Prepare a small demonstration of our own. Target one of their unmanned space stations. Show them that their weapons, while impressive, are no match for our fleet. As the orders went out, Tezo looked at the Earth displayed on their viewing screen. A blue world that had seemed so easy to conquer just days ago. Now he wasn't so sure. Back on the Talon mothership, Commander Tezo paced around the command center. The large circular room hummed with activity as officers monitored Earth's communications and defenses. Through the viewing screen, Earth looked peaceful and blue against the darkness of space. "Replay the human demonstration again," Tezo ordered. The screen showed the tank being vaporized by the orbital weapon. Officer Neri analyzed the data coming from the sensors. "The weapon uses a form of directed energy we haven't seen before," she explained. "It's quite efficient." Tezo made a dismissive gesture with his four-fingered hand. "Primitive directed energy weapons," he scoffed. "Nothing our shields cannot handle." The command staff watched their leader carefully. Tezo had conquered 17 worlds for the hegemony. His reputation for quick, decisive victories had earned him this mission to bring Earth into the Empire. But something about these humans troubled the other officers. Sub-Commander Du, who had served with Tezo for years, stepped forward. "The precision was impressive. We should consider." "They showed us their best weapon," Tezo interrupted, his voice sharp. "A single orbital platform that can hit a stationary target. The hegemony conquered worlds with far better defenses." He turned to face his officers. "These humans are putting on a show of strength. They hope to avoid battle through intimidation." Du looked unconvinced. The ambassador spoke of their history of internal warfare. If they spent thousands of years fighting each other, then they wasted thousands of years. Tezo cut in. "While we were building an empire across the stars, they were trapped on their world killing each other. A minor display will remind them of the hegemony's power." He walked to the tactical station where Officer Min waited for orders. "Target their Mars outpost. Nothing too destructive. Disable their communications array only." Min looked surprised. "Without warning, Commander." "Yes. Show them what real power looks like." The officers exchanged nervous glances, but no one challenged Tezo's order. Within minutes, 3 Talon attack vessels broke from the fleet and accelerated toward Mars, where humans had built a small research station. "The humans are detecting our ships," Officer Neri reported. "They're sending messages asking about our intentions." "Ignore them," Tezo ordered. The attack ships reached Mars orbit quickly and fired energy beams at the communications array extending from the human outpost. The officers watched on the main screen, expecting to see the structure crumble. Instead, something remarkable happened. Small objects launched from hidden silos on Mars' surface. They moved faster than anything the Talons had ever seen, leaving trails of blue light as they intercepted the energy beams. Rather than exploding on contact, the objects seemed to absorb or redirect the attack. "What is happening?" Tezo demanded. "Unknown defensive technology," Neri replied, her voice tight with surprise. "The humans call them quantum phase missiles in their emergency broadcasts." Before Tezo could respond, more alarms sounded across the command center. "Multiple launches detected from Earth," Min shouted, "and from their lunar base." On the tactical display, dozens of human vessels suddenly appeared, seemingly from nowhere. They had been hidden somehow, invisible to Talon sensors until now. "Impossible," Tezo whispered as reports flooded in. "How could they?" His words stopped as the attack ships near Mars went silent, their systems disabled by weapons that left no visible damage. The ships drifted powerless in Mars orbit. "All 3 attack vessels report complete system failure," Min said, her voice shaking. "No casualties, but all weapons and engines are disabled." The main screen flickered and changed to show a human face. It was Admiral Kim, looking calm but resolute. "Commander Tezo, your unprovoked attack has been neutralized without casualties. Consider this Earth's only warning. We offer peace and cooperation, or you will face the full extent of our capabilities." Silence fell over the command center. The human had not raised his voice or made explicit threats, but everyone felt the weight of his words. Their technology shouldn't exist, Neri said quietly, looking at her sensor readings. The quantum phase missiles operate on principles we've only theorized about, and our sensors are detecting defense systems activating across their solar system that we completely missed in our initial scans. Sub-Commander Du stepped closer to Teso. Commander, we should reconsider our approach. These humans are not like the other species we've encountered. Teso stared at the screen where Admiral Kim's face had been replaced by the image of Earth again. For the first time in his long career, he felt uncertain. How did they hide their true capabilities from us? He asked. Officer Neri worked at her console, analyzing new data. It appears they used some kind of masking technology. Our initial scans showed only what they wanted us to see. And Commander, I'm detecting energy signatures around Earth that suggest weapon systems far beyond what they've demonstrated so far. The implications were clear. If Earth could hide entire fleets and defensive systems from Talon sensors, what else were they hiding? The crews of our attack vessels? Teso asked. Unharmed, Min confirmed. The humans are sending rescue ships to retrieve them. They're offering medical assistance if needed. This confused Teso even more. The humans had every right to destroy the attack ships, yet they had chosen the most difficult path, disabling the vessels while keeping the crews alive. A new message came through from Earth. Admiral Kim appeared on screen again. Commander Teso, we are returning your crew members to you as a gesture of good faith. We have no desire for conflict. However, we will defend ourselves if provoked again. The human admiral's expression remained calm. We invite you to resume diplomatic discussions when you're ready. The screen went dark again. Teso felt the eyes of his command staff upon him. His reputation, perhaps his career, hung in the balance of his next decision. Set up a secure channel to the High Command, he ordered finally. I need to report this development. As his officers hurried to obey, Teso looked out at Earth again. The humans had surprised him completely. In all his years conquering worlds for the hegemony, he had never encountered a species that could match their technology, let alone surpass it in some areas. We misunderstood them, he said quietly to Sub-Commander Du. We thought them primitive because they hadn't spread beyond their system, but they weren't trapped by lack of technology. Du nodded. They were building their strength, preparing for the day they would meet species like us. Teso wondered what other surprises these humans had in store, and for the first time in his military career, he hoped he wouldn't have to find out. The Talon mothership hung in space near Earth's moon, a safe distance from the planet that had so unexpectedly defied them. Inside the ship's main research chamber, Officer Neri worked tirelessly. For 3 days straight, she had barely rested, running deeper and more complex scans of Earth's defense systems. Commander Teso entered the chamber, his normally confident stride now measured and cautious. The failed attack on Mars had changed him. Where once he saw easy conquest, now he saw potential disaster. Tell me what you found, he ordered Neri. She looked up from her instruments, her obsidian face showing signs of exhaustion. Commander, I hardly know where to begin. With a gesture, she activated the central holographic display. A three-dimensional image of Earth appeared, surrounded by layers of colored light representing different defense systems. I've been conducting deep scans using our most sensitive equipment, Neri explained. What I've found is troubling. Around the table stood other Talon leaders who had been summoned for this briefing. Sub-Commander Du, military strategist Min, and Professor G, the cultural anthropologist who specialized in understanding alien civilizations. Neri pointed to the outer layer of Earth's defenses. They possess quantum shielding technology we've only theorized about. Our scientists have been working on similar systems for decades without success, yet humans have already deployed them. She zoomed in on a network of satellites. Their AI-integrated defense networks operate at speeds our systems cannot match. When we attacked Mars, their response time was 3 times faster than our best combat systems. Commander Teso leaned closer to the hologram. Could this be deception? More false readings like before? No, Commander. After our attack, they stopped hiding their capabilities, perhaps as a warning. Nari highlighted several larger structures in Earth orbit, and these orbital platforms. The energy readings suggest weapons that could disable our entire fleet simultaneously. The room fell silent as the implications became clear. The Talon hegemony had conquered hundreds of worlds across 3 galactic arms. Never had they encountered resistance like this. How is this possible? Tezo demanded, striking the table with his fist. They've barely begun interstellar travel. Their first colony on Mars is less than 50 years old. By every metric, they should be centuries behind us. Professor Jui stepped forward. The elderly Talon had studied thousands of alien cultures during his long career. Unlike the military officers, he wore simple robes without rank insignia. I believe I can explain this apparent contradiction, Commander, Ji said. I've been studying human history since our arrival. It's unlike anything in our records. He touched the controls, and the hologram changed to show scenes from human history. Ancient battles with primitive weapons, then more modern conflicts with increasingly deadly technology. Unlike the unified evolution of hegemony species, humans developed through persistent conflict, Jai explained. Their entire history is marked by warfare, driving rapid technological advancement. The images showed world wars, Cold War weapons testing, modern combat systems. While the hegemony evolved through cooperation among our founding species, humans competed viciously against themselves, Jit continued. Each human nation or alliance constantly developed better weapons and defenses to protect against other humans. Military strategist Min looked disturbed. This seems incredibly wasteful. Why would they not unify earlier? Their planet developed multiple isolated civilizations, Jai explained, each with different cultures, languages, and resources. By the time they could communicate globally, these differences were deeply rooted. And this led to better technology? Tezo asked skeptically. Precisely, Jit confirmed. What took us centuries of peaceful progress, they achieved through competition and survival pressure. Their most significant technological leaps came during or immediately after their conflicts. Nari added, this explains their defensive focus. Their weapons are primarily designed to neutralize rather than destroy. They evolved fighting themselves. They needed to win without destroying their own planet. Commander Tezo walked slowly around the hologram, studying Earth's defenses from all angles. We came to conquer a primitive world. And instead, Nari finished, we found the most dangerous species in the galaxy. Sub-Commander Du looked troubled. If humans can achieve this level of military technology, all confined to their own system, what will happen when they expand to the stars? Professor G brought up new images showing human entertainment, movies and games depicting humans meeting aliens in space. They've been preparing for this moment for generations. Their culture is filled with stories about meeting alien life, many of them about fighting and winning against alien invaders. They've been psychologically preparing to meet us, Tezo realized, while we saw them as just another world to conquer. There's more, Nari said hesitantly. I've detected evidence of even more advanced weapon systems they haven't revealed yet. Based on energy signatures, they have defense capabilities that could. She paused. That could potentially threaten the hegemony homeworlds if they chose to develop offensive versions. The revelation sent a chill through the room. Never in the hegemony's history had they faced a species that could threaten their core worlds. Tezo stared at the holographic Earth, its blue oceans and white clouds looking so peaceful from space. How could such a beautiful world produce such a dangerous species? We have 2 options, he finally said. We can report this to the High Command and request our entire fleet to subdue this world. He looked at the concerned faces of his officers. Or we can be the first in hegemony history to recommend peaceful relations with a pre-spacefaring civilization. Professor G spoke softly. Commander, with respect, I don't believe we could subdue this world with our entire fleet. And if we tried and failed, we would have made an enemy that might one day bring war to our home. Teso knew Ji was right. The hegemony had conquered many worlds, but always those less advanced or divided against themselves. The humans were united and technologically superior in military matters. "Prepare a diplomatic vessel," Teso ordered. "I will meet with their leaders again. This time, we will listen more and demand less." As the officers left to carry out his orders, Teso remained alone with the hologram of Earth. He had come to this system expecting glory and conquest. Instead, he might be remembered as the commander who first retreated from a conquest. Or perhaps, he thought, as the one who prevented a disastrous war and found a valuable ally. Either way, the galaxy would never be the same after humanity's emergence. The Grand Hall of the United Earth Government headquarters in Geneva was decorated with both human and Talon symbols. Sunlight streamed through high windows, illuminating the historic scene. After weeks of careful talks, today marked the official signing of the Earth-Talon Cooperation Treaty. Ambassador Lee approached the large table in the center of the room. His simple black suit stood in stark contrast to Commander Teso's ornate ceremonial armor. 1 month ago, these two had faced each other as potential enemies. Today, they would sign as partners. "Let this day be remembered throughout the stars," President Sun announced to the gathered officials and cameras broadcasting worldwide. Not as the day Earth conquered or was conquered, but as the beginning of a new understanding between different worlds. Lee picked up the ceremonial pen and signed his name on the treaty. Commander Teso followed, using a special ink that changed colors as it dried. A Talon tradition for important documents. The treaty was unlike any the hegemony had signed before. It recognized Earth as a sovereign equal, not a subject world. It established trade routes, cultural exchanges, and mutual defense agreements. Most importantly, it acknowledged Earth's right to protect other worlds from unwanted hegemony expansion. After the ceremony, a small reception allowed human and Talon representatives to speak more casually. Ambassador Lee found himself alone with Commander Teso near a window overlooking Lake Geneva. "Your species confounds us," Teso admitted, his translator converting his clicks and whistles into smooth human language. "You possess the power to destroy us, yet you choose alliance." Lee smiled. Strength isn't measured only by one's capacity for destruction, but also by one's wisdom in knowing when not to use it. Teso considered this. The hegemony has existed for 15,000 years. We have conquered hundreds of worlds, always believing that our way was the only path to the stars. Peaceful internal development followed by external expansion through strength. "And now?" Lee asked. "Now we must reconsider everything we thought we knew," Teso replied. "Your species developed differently, yet achieved more in some areas than we have in millennia." Across the galaxy, news of the treaty spread quickly. On world after world under hegemony control, local species learned that the mighty empire had found its match. Many had been conquered generations ago, their cultures slowly fading under Talon rule. Now they looked to Earth with new hope. On Kenar Prime, a world conquered 3 centuries earlier, the native population gathered secretly to discuss the news. "Is it true?" asked one. "These humans forced the hegemony to sign as equals." "Not just equals," another replied. "The treaty includes provisions for the hegemony to loosen control over worlds that wish greater independence. And the humans will enforce this. They already are. Their ships now patrol the borders of 3 systems that have petitioned for more autonomy." Similar conversations happened on dozens of worlds. Earth had entered the galactic stage not as another victim, but as a counterbalance to the hegemony's power. 2 months after the signing, Earth launched its first true interstellar vessel. The EDS Horizon was built with both human technology and Talon knowledge freely given under the treaty. It could travel faster than any previous human ship, opening the stars to exploration. On the bridge of the Horizon, Admiral Kim stood by the main viewport, watching Earth grow smaller as they prepared for their first jump to another star system. Lieutenant Park joined him, handing over a data tablet with their final departure checklist. "All systems ready, Admiral. We can jump whenever you give the order." Kim nodded, taking a moment to appreciate the significance of this moment. "What do you think we'll find out there, Lieutenant Park?" She smiled. "More challenges, more wonders. But whatever awaits us, humanity will face it together." The great irony wasn't lost on either of them. Centuries of conflict had forged not just humanity's unmatched military might, but also the resilience and adaptability that would reshape the galaxy. "The Talons didn't understand us at first," Kim said quietly. "They saw our lack of expansion as weakness, not realizing we were focusing inward, solving our own problems before reaching for the stars. And now they respect us for it," Park added. "Respect, yes, and fear us a little too," Kim admitted. "But fear can become admiration with time." On the Talon homeworld, the High Command was still adjusting to the new reality. Some older leaders had called for a full military response when they first learned of Commander Teso's treaty. But as reports of human technology and capabilities spread, cooler heads prevailed. "We have much to learn from them," the Talon Supreme Leader addressed the assembly. "For all our achievements, these humans have developed approaches we never considered. Perhaps this is why the stars hold so many different forms of life, so that we might learn from each other's unique paths." Back on Earth, children looked up at the night sky with new understanding. The stars were no longer just distant lights but worlds to visit, species to meet. School lessons now included information about the Talon hegemony and other alien civilizations. In a classroom in Seoul, a teacher pointed to a new star map showing known inhabited worlds. "Before we met the Talons, we thought we might be alone in the galaxy," she told her wide-eyed students. "Now we know there are thousands of different species out there. Some friendly, some not. But humanity has earned its place among them." A small boy raised his hand. "Teacher, why did the aliens decide not to fight us?" The teacher smiled. "Because they realized something important, that sometimes the strongest species isn't the one that fights the most wars, but the one that knows when not to fight at all." As the horizon prepared for its first jump, Admiral Kim gave the order. The stars outside the viewport stretched and blurred as the ship accelerated beyond light speed. Humanity had taken its first true step into the wider galaxy. And the galaxy would never be the same again. The end.